to the Unchill Podcast. We have Chris Rushing back with us. And
hello.
we had to do a part two.
Again. We had to, especially since, you're taking off. We got to get some, get it out. We got to put it out there.
But also because the first episode was so good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's so amazing. Okay, so we had the episode, and I listened to your episode with Omar, which I thought was amazing.
Thank you.
I don't want to go into
Thank you.
Just watch the episode with Omar because I don't want to go into that.
Well, let me elaborate then.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, and it's Real with Omar. It's episode 92, I believe, and it's interesting because I was in the height of my brain fog from the stomach issues that I was having, from the parasites and the bacteria and all that stuff. And so I, again, just like so many other things that I did this past year, I went in there in a fog. I pulled out my inner warrior and I went through it. And when I left there, I barely remembered what I said because I was in such a fog and so lethargic and so fatigued. And I think I left there and went home and went to bed. But I laid it out like I always do. I lay it out there. I want to tell my story, not because I want people to, to think any certain way about me, but I'm hoping that it will help someone else and they'll relate with something I've gone through or something I've experienced or something I've figured out. Yeah. So yeah, I'm proud of that one as well. So please, if you can, go watch Real with Omar on YouTube, episode 92. It's him and I laying it out there. Because
I learned so much I don't think I knew a lot about your childhood. Is your mom still alive?
Yes, okay. My mother's still alive.
Yeah, where is she?
She's in Michigan.
Okay.
In Michigan, about 40 minutes from my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stayed in Michigan. They live in Michigan.
Yeah. Do you still talk to her? Like, what's the relationship?
I haven't talked to her in years. There's been a series of events throughout life where there were things that were done that affected me, and I took time off from her and then tried to be the bigger person several times, going back and saying, hey, let's repair this and giving another chance, only to be, let down again. And excuse me. Well, I would say now I don't live with expectations. I also don't set myself up to be, to be disappointed when I know that that's the most likely outcome. Yeah. So, we don't speak. And, it's fine. It's fine. You don't choose your family, Am I grateful that she birthed me into this world? Yeah, because I wouldn't be here, right? But I was also told at a young age that, and I don't know what any purpose to say this to a child, but she says, I had the option to abort you. Oh, really? But look what you got. Look what you got. You know what I'm saying? Listen. There was a little girl born, and she became my mother. That little girl was affected by her parents, whose parents affected them. And the cycle continues until it doesn't. And that cycle ends with me. So I have I harbor no resentment, but I'm also going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my daughters from any influence that might be detrimental, that may leave them feeling like, less than, or questioning themselves the way I did my whole life. So, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Yeah. There's no hard feelings there. It's just, you protect yourself, especially after a series of events where you give someone a chance to redeem themselves, to grow, to become better, to look at the lessons of their own lives. And they don't. So it's not my responsibility.
It's not your responsibility.
And it's crazy because I really believe that you should have communication with your family, with your nuclear family, with your extended family, with your close friends. And that's actually one of my alignments in my coaching program is lineage, man. Like you have to maintain and evolve with the people in your life that you care about. But if they're not evolving with you, that's the only clause in the.
Yeah, how hard are you going to try?
And
we talked about this because I know I've learned a lot about you. And I think right now, the timing of you, because I've known you for a while now.
Yeah.
And like we talk, but like we've talked a lot lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, the timing of everything is very powerful.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
I think you have a gift.
If you weren't looking for a place to park, and I can say, "Hey, I saw a parking lot over there," we would have probably said, "Hey, how you doing?" And maybe not, And so, yes, everything is meant.
But exactly, but like you coming to the pot, like it's so crazy because the reason why I wanted a part 2, I'll share this because like you told me your name was Krishna, which you've never told me ever. I don't know what the fuck you were doing. Like what? Why?
Sometimes because it's been me my whole life. I guess it's powerful, but sometimes I don't feel it because I've lived with it so long that I don't. It's not a priority or it's not relevant all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the fact that something that's not priority, you decide to share on that podcast.
Yeah.
And I did mess up. So, like, I don't know my grandma very well, but it wasn't an orphanage that she died in. It was like an ashram, which is like spirituality.
It was an ashram.
Yeah,
an ashram.
So for God and all this. And so I've been talking to my mom a lot about my grandma lately because it's just like, which never happens. Like,
and what was her name again?
Okay, that's actually.
Say it clearly.
I actually want to tell you the whole story. This is actually, which is why I was like, I need to sit down and talk to you about this because I actually want to see your reaction too because it was a phone call and I told you. I was like, this is wild. So basically, everything is crazy. After that episode, I don't even know if you knew this, but I couldn't drive home. So we did the first one, and for some reason, I told you I had this energy of like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And I couldn't drive home. There's like somewhere I parked, and you immediately texted me saying like, oh, that was incredible. I'm like,
yeah.
Dude, I'm not like... So, like, I understand frequency and I understand intuition and all that, but that was when it was so clear that something was going on because I felt it. Like, oh my God, there's something happening here. And so you texted me. I was like, oh, that's so crazy that he texted me right when I'm like in the car, could not drive. I literally could not drive. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And I've done podcasts before. I've never felt that before. And I was like, oh my God, I can't drive. Like, this is going to get bad. And I was like, okay, let me just like breathe through this. And I was like, I knew that you're going to be in my life forever. Like, I know that. I really know that.
I feel that as well.
Right? Like, you're going to be in my life I'm always going to be okay. And so I was driving home. I know, it's crazy. And I was driving home and I've never felt so safe in my life, which is so crazy because, you get hugs from people and you're like, I'm going to be there. But like, it was like you were giving me a hug for like the rest, like you're going to be fine. And at a time that I'm going right before California, like, you're not giving me, like, there's no actual physical hugs that you're giving me that, like, oh, like, I'm here for you. It's like, oh, I'm going to be across the country, but, like, I'm going to be fine. And I go home, and I come home, I'm, like, freaking the fuck out. And I tell my dad what's been going on, just for him to be like, yo, what the fuck is your podcast?
I thought, you told me that was the response that you expected.
Y'all are crazy, like,
you damn kids.
Yeah, just do, like, whatever, Patricia. Like, you're a little not okay in the head, but it's fine. But the fact that his reaction literally was like, first I told him your name was Krishna. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing. My dad actually knows who you are. So I've told him, like,
I met him.
Yeah, right before I was like, he's with the 2 little girls. He's like, oh yeah, like, nice guy. And so I was like, his real name is Krishna. And he was like, how'd that happen? And I was like, his mom just named him Krishna. And I was like, Dad, I think he's like my protector and provider. Like, I really think so. And my dad goes like, how lucky are you to have someone that's not your parent to guide you through life? Like, you're always going to be okay. And I could not, like, I was like, you can't validate. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, shut up. So I was like, bridge of tears. The fact that he, like, completely, like, validated my feelings, that I wasn't, like, psychotic. And I drove to the gym. I was like, I need to do something. And, because I was like, that's fucking insane. And I think I was texting you all of this. But, text and actually saying it is so different.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what the fuck is happening? I had a dream. I will share the dream because I don't think it's not that.
Share away.
So I have a dream. And first of all, when I saw you in the podcast, I've never seen you so happy. Like, I feel like we talk about stuff, but there's always that, like, okay, maybe a little sadness that I can feel or something. But, like, I feel like our podcast, like, you were so, like, you were happy. And I can feel that.
More than happy.
Yeah.
It was way more than happy. Okay. It was seen.
Yeah.
The connection of us opening up together, of having realizations together, of being grateful that we found each other in life as 2 humans and two what I would like to think as beautiful souls. It gave me the opportunity to really be myself with no guard up. And I left here floating as well. And you allowed me to, I don't want to get ahead of your story, but you allowed me to see myself also as a protector, as this more of a spiritual person, as somebody who is nurturing, step more into my, the purpose I already know that I'm meant to fill. And I think that's also why I told you about my birth name being Krishna. Oh, nothing is random. Nothing is random. And the fact that was how I started in this world, in a small town in Michigan where there was no Indian people. There was no, there's no real spiritual people except for, born again Christians and Catholics and stuff like that. It's not random. So with that, tell them more about your story.
But it's also crazy because I didn't know you were so spiritual. So it all makes sense that you're very spiritual and that you're having all these realizations from the universe. But I didn't know that going in. And I also my whole spiritual growth has been so different because I couldn't acknowledge, what is the word? I wouldn't have been able to recognize that in you because I had to recognize that myself to be able to recognize it in you.
Yeah.
So I have a dream that night that you are meditating and you're wearing a white towel and people are watching you and you've never been so happy. You're healing. And it was so crazy because you've never been so happy. And knowing you this whole time, you're very much let's fucking go person, don't fuck with me. You give that vibe.
Yeah.
And for you to not be doing, you weren't speaking. You were just yourself and everybody was being healed. And wow. Safe. You weren't doing anything. And I've never seen you so happy in your life. And it was really warm. It was wow. And I was I really think that's your future. And it was so funny because I had this dream and I was I woke up what the fuck just happened? And I did. And I didn't know how to tell you because, dreams are kind of, people could take it the wrong way. And I love you as a person. I love you as a friend. I was I don't want this to ruin our friendship. This could be really...
No. But you can't. Yeah. With anybody else, maybe you want to protect that. But with me, no.
Yeah. There was no...
I feel we can say anything.
I know. I agree. But I didn't know how you would take it. I also want to process my own because I saw you in a different light. Because I'm used to you being very much an alpha male, go, go, go. This is so different than I've ever seen you in my life. The fact that I saw you in that light is completely what I've seen. So I was okay, let me process this. Also process why I'm I have this intuition about you or what this means. So I talked to our good friend Tia, who's so into this stuff. I'm Tia, what the fuck is my dream?
She's incredible.
Yeah. I love her so much. Yeah. And she also knows you. And I was okay, she's a perfect person to talk to about this with. And she goes, tell him, I think this is your gift. And she was oh, this is your purpose. So maybe you'll get something out of Chris. Maybe this will help him. I'm okay, Tia, okay. We'll see. I talked to her Saturday and I was still thinking about it the whole week. And I think I randomly texted you on Thursday because I couldn't hold on to it any longer. And we talked about it. And it was so crazy because I feel you believe, the whole thing, it was you could have been Pratt, I don't know what you're talking about. This is kind of crazy.
I could have been.
I'm just not that person. You could have said that, you're just a stupid 26-year-old. What do you know? But you did it.
Mm-mm.
No. And that was I don't know if I don't think I would have expected that reaction. I think you would be thanks for
Well, like I said just a couple minutes ago, dreams aren't random either. We are in touch with so many things that we take for granted, especially if we tap in and search them out. And so what it meant for me was it justified, not that we needed to justify it, but it further justified our connection. Because going back to being seen, I thought, wow. Because in our last podcast, I also told you about how in my life, there were people who saw me when I couldn't see me. The woman in church who said after a prayer, I was home in my dress blues. We talked about this. I went home and went to church with my mom. And I was in my dress blues because I was on leave from the Marine Corps on Liberty. And on leave, rather. It's been a long time. And this woman came up to me after a prayer, and she goes, you don't know me, but while we were praying, God talked to me and told me to go speak with you. And he told me that you're going to bring many people to him. And just that reality washed over me. And I was so lost at that point, I couldn't imagine that. But throughout my life, people have kind of made contact with me based on what they have seen, because maybe God was telling me, you're not seeing this right now, so I'm going to bring people into your life to show you. That's how I took the dream, and I thought, what a blessing, what a gift that, first of all, you were so touched and it led to this dream, but then you also shared it with me, and now I could be like, okay, now I'm listening, and to imagine that place that you saw me in, and so peaceful. All of it legitimizes a life where I could have just said, well, I'm a victim of this, and it justifies my bad decisions, or it justifies my anger, or it justifies my self-destruction. But I wasn't chosen for that. It's like someone trying to help somebody who's gone through child abuse and they've only learned it from a book. Okay, they can be effective, but only to a point. You can only be truly effective if you've experienced it. So in that respect, I believe I can be very effective as I walk through this life because of everything I've experienced, right? So the connection with spirituality, with God, with the divine, with nature, with all of these things that I hold dear to me, that I'm humbled by the patterns of the clouds, that I look every morning up to the sun, I go, I see you there. Thank you for another day. That type of thing helps to remind me that, yes, in a traditional alpha way, I may be perceived as that, but that's only so that I can be more powerful in my message. Because you also can't lead. You're not as effective if you're afraid. If you're afraid. You can continue to learn, but it's harder to teach and make an impact if you're still afraid. So the true strength and vulnerability comes from being a warrior, but a man of peace and a man of spirituality, because I'm not going to be oppressed by someone who doesn't agree with me. They're not going to have their way with me and bully me or put me in harm, because I will fuck you the fuck up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I stand for good. I stand for good, and I loathe bad. And I could only say that and be powerful in my message, in my presence, in my passion, in my delivery, is if I was also a warrior. And so a lot of people see the warrior, the one who trains hard. And I need that in my life. It feeds me. I'm a warrior. I am a warrior. I like aggression. I like that power. I like to scream at the sky. And I also like to sit under the sky and say, thank you. Wow. I just got another day. I was gifted another day. That's the priority. And that's part of what I teach. So to be reminded that, yes, I am a spiritual healer as well. It gives me so much freedom. It gives me so much peace, because I will be both. If you need inspiration from a physicality, standpoint, where you got to get your butt up and get moving, you got to get strong, you got to quit making excuses. Yes, I have that. I've been a coach and a trainer for a long time. If you need someone to listen, someone to care, someone to bring it down and shut out the noise because it's too much, I've got that too. And that's how I'll proceed. So you really just saw me. You saw me and you were able to share that with me. And that was powerful. So that's why was my reaction, and I feel very blessed. I feel very blessed about the entire, and your dad's reaction, because he could have been like, oh, but I also respect him. And I didn't realize, I met him. Yes. And the fact that you revere him is big. But when I was at your house last week for your party and I saw the pictures of the mountains he had climbed himself, that took on a whole new meaning for me, because I saw a man now who is not just a dad. I don't want to say not just a dad, because a dad is a huge responsibility, but to be a man who also takes on challenges like climbing mountains. I'm like, you and I probably have more in common than we either one of us know. Yeah. And so for him to say that, I had a lot of respect for his response to
I
that.
think the reason why my dad probably validated, because I think he does think I see people for their core. Like I've always done that. Like I always see people for their heart.
Yeah.
And you do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you really see people for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something you told me ever. You were like, I didn't like I don't know why, but like I feel like our connection or like this time around is so different from in the past. It's such a deeper level in such a short time.
Things have to mature, right? Like you can't go blindly. Sometimes you see somebody, but there's so many guards that we put up in our life, justifiably so, to protect ourselves. And you don't just let people in. You'd be foolish to do that, you know? And so things have to build. Some people you might connect with right off the bat, you might be better off questioning that as well, because you may be meeting their representative and then the true colors come through. And that's happened with a few people that, not a few, sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable and stay by the mic. People that I may have felt I connected with quickly. I'm like, wow, this person's really cool. We vibe. Only to see that when things weren't going their way or they weren't getting what they expected, they showed who they really were. And then you go, whoa, you back off from it. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. True friendships grow, true relationships grow, you know, and I think that's why. And that's everything is happening the way it's meant to. I think everything in our lives individually and our lives as friends together. And I just think it's powerful and the potential for all of it for, you know, you now starting this huge spiritual growth journey. And us talking about doing this, first of all, and continuing to have conversations and possibly put together in the future, you know, retreats and destinations or whatever we put our heads together with to get people together to impact lives, to share and impact our own lives as well, is something I feel like it's part of our evolution and it will continue to grow, honestly. And that's huge. That's big.
I will finish what I was saying about my grandma though.
Yeah.
So my mom's been talking about my grandma so much to me, which is like, she's a person that everyone looks up to on my mom's side because she died in her sleep, which is such a peaceful way to die.
How old was she?
I think she was in her 80s. But she wore all white and now my uncle wears white. Like my mom's very spiritual. Like I think I told you, used to read the Bhagavad Gita.
Hindi?
Spiritual. We all speak Telugu. The language is Telugu. And my mom is very spiritual because of my grandma. Like was teaching the Bhagavad Gita. That's what I was saying. Yeah. So she would wake up every day and she created like a WhatsApp and would just read the Bhagavad Gita to it. Yeah, my mom's very spiritual. So I was not into this type of stuff because in college my mom would just like kind of like shove it down my face, like, oh, you need to meditate. Like if I was really stressed out, you need to meditate. Like, no, I need to fucking study. I'm about to fail. I need to fucking study. I don't need to meditate. I need to fucking study.
I need to have action. I need to create action.
I need to actually learn these things. Yeah. And she would just send me all these meditation videos. I'm like, no. And so, like, I feel like when someone is forcing it down, you kind of you reject it.
Of course. The same thing happened to me with Christianity.
Yeah.
And it was forced down my throat, or it was something that was a repercussion for actions. If I went out, stayed out too late to teen dance place or something like that, you know, you got to get up and go to church or you can't go out next weekend. It wasn't something that, and I saw bad examples in the church as well, which repelled me before I realized that humans are humans and humans are fallible. We're not going to base our spirituality on someone else's example, you know? But no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So
then I was like, not into this stuff. But recently my mom has like been telling me, you're like your grandma, you're following your grandma's path, And she randomly tells me, she's like, you're just like Krishnaveni, which is my grandma's name. And it's so crazy because she was like, oh yeah, when you were, this is so ridiculous that this whole thing happened. My grandma saw apparently something in me. Like I was my sister is very loud person. Like very loud, very demanding, nothing like me. We're very opposite. And I'm very like, apparently I was very like calm and like didn't do much, but just like was not loud. I didn't say much apparently.
Yeah. You were checking stuff out.
Yeah. I was just like very observant. Yeah, very observant.
Yeah.
But my grandma would never put me down. She would always put me on like a bed or a pillow. She's like, you can't put her down.
You told me this, yes.
Ridiculous. ridiculous. What the fuck?
She was like, oh,
Exactly.
even sit here. Yeah.
And they would pray to Krishna every day. And my mom loves Krishna. That's why when you said in the episode, oh my God, my name is Krishna, I was like, that's why it hit me so hard, because I'm like, it's such like a powerful name to have.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. And it comes with, I think, a responsibility as well. Because it's not random. It's not random. Yes, it came from, a hippie mentality, but someone was inspired to give it to me. It had to be given to me because it was meant to be. That's what I was meant to come into this world. And then it was anglicized or, it was changed when, my parents became born again Christians, and you couldn't have Krishna and the Calvary Baptist Church. That didn't make sense. So that's when it became Chris Michael Rushing. But there was a root set there. Everything makes sense. It all just makes sense. But going back to that origin, I want to talk to you about origin a little bit later. Started me on a path. And I'm really excited and interested in where it's going to take me, because I'm fallible, man, just like anybody else. And I'm still susceptible to, anger, getting angry or feeling lost, or, bouts of depression where you got to figure this out. But I don't stay there long. But I feel a huge evolution and an accelerated growth in myself since I've gone through that rough divorce and started, looked around and no one was there. And I'm like, okay, whatever you use me, however I'm meant to be used, because I know that I'm not meant to fail, because otherwise I wouldn't have had to survive all the things I've had to. So, it's exciting. So it's interesting too that your grandmother, who was very spiritual, his name was Krishna Vaini, and the origin of that, and the origin of Hinduism, and
well, I think it's crazy
and the deities.
I just think it's really crazy that in the same episode, at the same time that you told me your name was Krishna, I told you about my grandma. Not even thinking about my grandma's real name. Like, it was out of my mind to even be like, wait, there's a connection. Until my mom, and I've been talking to you about you a lot with my mom, because I think, like, for someone to understand this is her, because she's just like, oh my God, this is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, my dad, whatever, he acknowledges it, but my mom is like, there's something huge happening for you right now. Like, right before California, this is all being played in a way that I feel so, I will tell you this. So, like, when I think about my life, I think about some of my biggest blessings, and I think you're a really big blessing. And I had my party last week, and I was just like, so sad, because it's like, not sad, I wouldn't say sad. So blessed is the word. So blessed and grateful.
Yeah.
And that's what you give other people. You make people, because you love your life, or maybe you love life in general.
Yeah.
Being around you makes you love life. Like, that's what I feel. And
wow.
And it's only been like 2 weeks. I think we've talked a lot lately.
Yeah.
Just the way you experience life and you think about life, there's no way in hell I could be like, I fucking hate my life.
It's not, well.
No, but like but the thing is, you're so, like, you touch grass. Like, we were, even last week when you were telling me, or like Saturday, you were telling me about Gettysburg, and you're like, I'm a nut job for, like, just like sitting here at night. Like, but you literally.
I love that about me, though.
Yeah, no.
I love that about me. I don't care.
No,
that's the thing.
I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying you really enjoy your life.
I get everything I can out of every experience. I will drive way out of my way to have an experience, because and here's the thing too. This was another topic I've spoken about. It's much easier to get the most out of life when you have a purpose. Also, when you have lost people that you thought would be there with you at the end, or at least close to the end, right? I did a talk at this men's group, and I talked about couple friends of mine that one guy was in the Marine Corps with, and then another guy who we just party with and hang out, and it was at his wedding, and we were friends as young adult males. And they're no longer here. And what that feels like, because everyone's going to go through it at some stage, at some point. And I remember hearing the news. I was virtually training a client when my friend Ro was calling me. Ro doesn't call me. Neither one of us like really talking on the phone. Why would he call me? Usually texts. And I was training this guy, Matt, Craig, actually. And I said, Craig, I got to jump off for a second and get this, and I'll get back on with you. And he said to me, Ro said to me when I picked up, he goes, Rush, he goes, I gotta tell you something, man. And he said, Pablo's gone. What? And I just had to sit and I had to let this filter. Pablo was a Colombian guy who was a friend of ours, and he was a big real estate guy in Chicago, full of life. He was a nut job. He was just always clowning and so always happy. He got more happy when he was drinking. It wasn't like the kind of guy who was like, he was just always happy and full of life. He was running triathlons. He was going through divorce because they just didn't work out. And he had 2 kids that I'd seen grow from babies, a little boy and a little girl. And I got this news, and there was this feeling that came over me. I was like, what? How can this be true? And I was angry at him once I found out what happened. He had met a new girl. She was pregnant. They were going to get together. We had spoken, him and I, a couple weeks before. And he was mad. Don't tell anybody because no one knows yet. But we're building a house in the suburbs, getting out of the city, and I want you to come up. I want you to come and spend some time. And I'm like, man, I'm there. I mean, I knew him through a lot of things, drunken nights, party nights, ups and downs, deep talks, moves back and forth to southern states. We lived in Florida at the same time together, pursuing things. And we were both alpha males. We loved each other. We loved our group of boys, and we were, tough guys. We loved sticking up for what was right, and we could because we trained. We were physically, we had prowess, if you will. And we were, we just loved each other. And what happened was, before they were about to have the baby, they went to Dominican Republic just for a weekend away together, and they were messing around on the way back. And he always took it too far. And they were kind of just playing tag, flirting a little bit, I guess, going back and forth, but going back to the room. And what he did is he jumped on the outside of the banister. He was always tempting fate, and he used to piss us off all the time. And he slipped. And he fell a long ways, and he was broken. And they took him to the hospital there, and he was stable, I think. And she was trying to figure out how to get him back because, we go to these resorts in some countries and not realizing that outside of these resorts, the healthcare is not good, and it's still like a third world country. She was trying to make arrangements to fly him back to Chicago so he can get the care to save his life. There was a guy in the room with him, and he told them what happened when they came back in. Pablo woke up, didn't know where he was, and jerked and fell off the bed. And this is the story I heard anyway. And his body couldn't handle it because he was already broken up, and he internally bled to death, right?
Oh, God.
And so I heard this, and I'm like, you fucker, you motherfucker. If you wouldn't have been messing around, you'd still be here. And I was angry at him for this. I was angry at him. And I had to put it away, and I came back, and I finished training my client virtually, and things just changed. I remember going to the city the next day and just thinking about him. I remember the sun felt so vibrant on my face. Oh, I could feel the sun, and I hadn't really paid attention to it in so long. And I trained some clients in the city, and I took the train back, and I would always get sushi in Grand Central. It was the only healthy-ish thing that I could get for my meal on the way back to Greenwich. And I remember put the sushi in my mouth, and I closed my eyes, and I took my time, and it tasted so, it tasted like color. It tasted vibrant. I could taste all of the textures and the different flavors. And I took my time, and I was thinking that now I'm eating right now, slowly, and being aware and taking my time because he can't. And so my perspective on life and what a gift it was started to shift. And I started to have even more of a purpose and more of a why. I had a more defined why. My daughters were, of course, my why. But now a lot of things I do still are because he can't. And I had another friend, Teddy, who I was in the Marine Corps with, and he lived in northern Michigan, in an area where, you know, I mean, they didn't take COVID seriously, I don't think. And some people were more susceptible than others, right? He was very fit, so I don't understand. I still don't understand the dynamics of it all. But a couple boys I was in the Marines with, they went up to visit him, and he was really sick. And I got a phone call, and I talked to him too. I was about to go up there for the summer and go see him, and then I get a phone call from one of the guys, or a group text, I think, from Matt Sass, who was a lieutenant colonel who had a whole career in the Marine Corps, and we stayed in touch. We're on a thread with a couple of guys that we were in the Marines with, and he goes, "Guys, I don't know if Matt says, guys, I don't know if you know, but Teddy's in a hospital and he's fighting." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He got COVID, and he was pretty bad when they were up visiting, and they put him in the hospital, and he's fighting. And so I text him. I couldn't call him. I text him right off the bat. I go, "Dude, what's going on?" He's like, "Rush, I'm fighting for my life right now." And I go, "You better fucking fight, dude, because we got stuff to do. You know, you've survived a ton, and we still have a lot to do. So you better fight, because I'm coming up to see you, and we got stuff to do." And he was one of the guys. I always thought that we'd be grandfathers, up kind of sitting on a hill watching our grandkids play while we're joking about all the stupid stuff we did when we were younger. You know, and I was texting him, and I go, "Brother, you just keep fighting." He's, "I'm going to check with you tomorrow, and I got you. Let's, you know, we got plans. I'm going to meet you up at the lake, and we're going to hang out. We're going to catch up." And the next day when I got home from work, I started texting him. I go, "Teddy, man," I go, "What's up? What's going on?" And he didn't answer. And I text him again. And he didn't answer. And this guy, Ken Morton, who I served with also, was calling me on the other line. And I'm like, "I'm not picking this up, man. I'm not going to pick this up." And I kept texting him, "Teddy, what's up, man? You okay? Everything good?" And Ken Morton keeps calling, and goes to voicemail, and he calls again. And I'm like, "I'm not picking this up. I'm not picking this up." And finally I have to pick it up. I go, "What's up, Ken?" He goes, "Teddy's gone, man." And so many things run through your mind. Fights you might have had, you know? Things where you feel like maybe you could have showed up better. You could have been there for them. Why weren't you there for them? Why couldn't things have been differently? Did you show them enough respect? Did they know that you loved them? And you go through these things, and I flew home for the funeral. I flew down for Pablo's funeral, and one of my friends, Ro, he's like, "Man," he goes, "I feel like we're the leftovers, man." And it came to me right then. I'm like, we're not the leftovers. We're the storytellers. And we keep them alive by telling their story, but it comes with a price, and it comes with a gift. We get to live. And the price is we can never take for granted a single moment again. And so that is also why I get everything I can out of this life every single day. And why I wake up every day going, "Man, it's so beautiful." And why I'll never stop trying to help people heal, because I'm here and I can. And I hope that story resonates with somebody, because it's real and it's true, and things are very serious, and you should never take a day, a moment for granted. Dance hard, love hard, laugh hard. You know, get everything you can out of life every single day. If you're on the fence about being healthy, you are wasting your fucking life. Stop kidding yourself, you know? If you think you have tomorrow to start something, you don't. You have today. So that's why I'm not afraid, man. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anything or anyone because I see clearly. I see clearly, so clearly. And I thought that to be able to observe the way I do, to see things the way I do, I always thought I was weird because of it. And I realized it's a gift, you know, to be able to see someone when they're hurting, to be able to just listen and not have to fix them, you know, because a lot of times we want to fix someone for our own ego. If we do this, we're going to feel great about ourselves. No, man, sometimes you just got to listen. Sometimes you just have to see someone and let them know they're seen, you know? And I miss those guys. And I think about all the times, man, and that makes life even better because I got to experience it with them. They were real people who were here, you know, they were my boys or my friends. And I'd be doing them a disservice if I wasn't getting everything I could out of life, if I wasn't trying every single day to live in my purpose, to help, to share, you know, to help people heal based on what I know. I know it's a gift. I know now that everything I've gone through is a gift. So yes, send it, God. Use me. Send it. Because I'm blessed enough to be here still. So yeah, I'm alpha. I'm a warrior. Yes, I love to train. I love to go. I don't have one day where I don't want to go. People, you know, say, oh, if you don't feel like it, you know, just do it anyway. I don't ever have a day where I don't feel like it. I want to go every day, and I want to live every day, and I want to experience life every single day. And I think that's the example that is part of my purpose to share, to show. Stop making excuses, man, because life is impermanent. Life is impermanent, and with birth comes death. Both of them are beautiful. With love comes heartbreak, but you got to experience love. You know, with health and power comes sickness. Like I experienced this last year. I was so powerful, and all of a sudden I was wiped off my feet, knocked off my feet by these gut issues where I thought I was dying and I didn't know. But the lesson was that I proved to myself that I could keep a positive perspective and still get everything, as most things, done through a cloud, even when I didn't feel like myself. So there's no excuses. There's no woe is me. There's no victimhood. Stop being a victim. Anybody who's listening to this or watching this, stop being a victim. It's a waste of your time. It's a weakness. It's a waste of your time. We're so strong. We are so strong. We're capable of so much. We just got to stop getting in our own way, you know? We have free will, and we know what decision is right. We just have to make that decision every time. We struggle because we make decisions we know aren't right, honestly. And then we go, God, why did you do this to me? And God's saying, no, you have free will, man. You know, I gave you the opportunity and you chose this. Yeah. So let's get back on track. You know, so that's just, it's a beautiful life. It's such a beautiful life. And you can't have good without having bad. And life is full of seasons, right? Some of them we suffer. And then some of them we're so good. We're so high and we're so happy. And that's what life is. We're not meant to be victims of any of it. Oof. It's all beautiful. Even when you can see the beauty in suffering as it making you stronger and you're learning, you know, then you can really, really appreciate when things are good, you know, and stop letting people influence you. Share with people. Yes, share. And when someone is shut down, keep walking. It's not the right time, or this person's not for me. It's easy. It's easy, especially in relationships. Oh my God, what this person did to me. No. If you know what, here's the thing. If you're a good person and someone deceives you, someone betrays you, they didn't really betray you. They betrayed themselves. And that's way heavier. Now you see clearly, you keep it moving. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to see clearly. You know, life is simple. It's really simple. I'm sorry. No, I'm dropping all this on you. It's so funny because I was like, I knew right before. I was like, I'm going to cry. I was trying to hold, like, I'm going to cry. I didn't plan on dropping anything on you. I just, that's my philosophy. It's what I've learned. It's who I am. And it's really simple. It's simple. And I understand people are struggling, they're hurting, but so many times it's because of our own decisions. When I was a drug addict, I was making my own decisions. So many times I think, oh my God, I can't. I'm addicted. I can't stop. And with me, what happened was if I just resisted and then kept resisting and then just didn't go through with it, wait a second, I'm still alive. I'm alive. I made it through the night. And then when you do it the next time, it becomes easier also. I mean, I'm not downplaying anyone's addiction because it's very serious.
Yeah.
But
you said that in the episode. Did you actually know that you were addicted?
Yeah.
But you were hiding it. Like
Not in the beginning, I wasn't.
Oh, you.
Oh no, not in the beginning, it wasn't. We were two crazy kids running around the city.
Oh, so she did with you.
I don't want to say anything about anybody who's not here.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but we were two, crazy kids running around the city doing our thing.
Yeah.
And it's ugly. It's really ugly because you feel like if you're hiding it, then it's not affecting anybody, but it is. It is. You're ultimately paying the ultimate price yourself. When you're in the throes of addiction, and you justify it, you find ways to justify it, but it's ugly. It's really ugly, and you got to have a reason to stop. And so many times when you are an addict or you're dependent, I'm not gonna say dependent. When you're addicted, we aren't enough ourselves to stop because we feel so unworthy. We feel so shameful that we aren't enough to stop. And so you need to find a reason to stop. Ideally, if you can take a look at yourself in the mirror and you can see your self-worth, and that's your reason, that's great. But so many times that's not, and that's why people fail, because they don't see their self-worth. They're ashamed of what they're doing, and that's when you start to hide it. And you're like, I have to feed the dragon. But you don't. You don't really have to. And I'm saying this on the other side of it as someone who had to sneak and had to feed the dragon every weekend. And it came to a point where my reason could not be my wife because we just fought all the time. And we didn't respect each other. And so my reason became my kids, my daughters. Because I wasn't enough at the time. Now I'm enough. But it had to be the reality of them looking up at me and going, this is who you are, Dad? Really? The idea of that, those little faces where I'm supposed to be their hero, where I want to be their hero, and them looking up at me going, okay, this is your reality. That was too much for me. So I put the work in, man. I braced myself and I had a few nights where I was shaking and I was fighting and, going through it. And eventually you get on the other side of it. And the dragon's always there. The dragon's always there. It's always tempting you. Even now, it tries to creep in. And I instead of turning away from it, I turn to it. You can't have me now. You can't have me now. I know what your motives are. You can't have me now, and it's something that's with you. If you're ever addicted, alcoholics are the same way. It's always there. It's always going to be there. You cannot tempt fate. You cannot do it part-time. You know what I mean? It's in you. And so you don't tempt fate. You got to find other ways. And that's something too I love to talk to people about because I've been through it. Again, I didn't learn this from a book. Makes sense that I had to go through it the way I had to go through it. Because I could look at you in the eye and I say, no, you're bullshitting yourself. You're lying to yourself. And I can say that because I've been there and I lied to myself. I bullshitted myself. I justified things. So the reason I had to go through so many things is so that I can relate with people.
It's so interesting because it's like you talk about like this like self-hatred that you had for yourself like growing up, but you were like modeling and
I never believed the hype. I never believed in myself the whole time.
You don't think you're like hot?
I didn't get it. I swear to God, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I thought, well, I must be fooling everybody because I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at all. Yeah, I started, I think I shared this with the way I started modeling. I actually was going to college in a little town called Jackson, Michigan. I was living with my mom at the time. I just got out of the Marine Corps. I was still in the reserves or something. And I started at Jackson Community College. and I met a girl, and she told me she was going to a modeling casting thing, a model search. I think it was a talented model search, which is a big racket in the Midwest, And so I go, yeah, I'll go with you. So I went with her, and I think they picked me instead, and I wasn't even in the thing. And I was like, whoops. And then I moved to suburban Detroit, and I was going to school there, and I was managing a gym. And one of the morning clients, he asked me, he said, Chris, you ever thought about modeling? I'm like, I thought about it, because at the point I thought I wanted to be an actor. I thought that's what I wanted to do. That was my thing. And he said, if I have a friend who has a local agency, would you, if I got an appointment for you, would you come and talk to her? I go, yeah, sure. Again, not thinking anything would come from it. I feel like, I'm putting myself out there. Be prepared to have the door slammed in your face. I went and spoke with her, and she goes, oh yeah, you could definitely model. She's like, I'd like to set you up with this photographer to do your first test shoot. And I go, okay, cool. So went for my first test, and I was horrible at it. The guy was like, he's like, why do you look like you're a deer in headlights? I was going like, I was like this. I'm a small town kid who didn't know anything about anything at that point. And we ended up fixing everything, and I had a good shoot out of it. And then I shot with another guy, and I started getting really good photos and started booking everything in suburban Detroit. Everything. Every casting I went on, like all of a sudden, small town, Redneck Chris is in front of, a brand new Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus. I guess Neiman Marcus was opening, and they had this black tie gala, and all these models from Chicago and all these they flew them all up, and here I am, little old me, in a crushed velour, like purple suit, It was the 90s at that point, and I'm walking out on a runway in front of 1,500 people in tuxedos, and then they would switch, and we're doing a show for the next group, the next part of the audience. And it was funny because I was so afraid. I tried to hide it. I had a twitch in my face that would go like this, and I'm trying to play it off, and I'm like, can people see this? Because my face is twitching. I was so scared. I was so nervous, and I'm trying to play it off. And it was crazy. It was a crazy world. It was really a crazy world. And then I met a guy who I'm still friends with, Khalil. And he had a mother agent, because back then you had a mother agent, smaller markets that would send your stuff out to bigger markets. And I met her, and she sent my stuff out to Italy, to Spain, to London, to South Africa, to France, and Germany. And all of a sudden I'm getting agencies in each market that want me to come and work with them. I was like, what is this all about? I went quickly and got a passport and flew to Milan with my friend Khalil. And I had a big agency. I had a really big agency. And but I was impatient. I didn't know how the business worked. And here's Khalil. He's over here at this agency. He's more of an intimate type of relationship there. It was a smaller group, and they really pushed their guys, and his booker was really interested in me, really liked my look, so I thought. So I made a huge mistake, and I left my agency, Beatrice, and went to Future. And Val, who was my friend Khalil's booker, I'm going to tell you some stories. I just thought of some other things. He said, Chris, I want to talk to you about your career. He had this Italian accent. Chris, I want to talk to you about your career, right? You have booking, you have option. They're like this. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I booked this really crazy thing. It was a wedding editorial shoot where I looked like a vampire. The girl in the wedding dress looked like the Bride of Frankenstein. Very editorial, 90s, lots of eyeliner and stuff. It was crazy, and it was a lot of fun. And I did that, and then Val was like, Chris, I want to take you to dinner to talk about your career, right? And I'm like, okay, I was naive, And I go to dinner with this guy, and he's like, Chris. He's like, I haven't felt this way about another man in 10 years, he says to me, and I go, what? And he goes, yes. He's like, I can't help it. I want to be closer with you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and I'm over here. I'm straight. And he goes, what? He goes, what about you and Khalil? And I'm like, no, man, we have girlfriends, And he's like, oh, okay. And the next day, I had to go to a town in Genoa. It was in north. I can't remember what it was. It was this town that Christopher Columbus left. It was left from to go to Spain to get finance to go find the new world. So that was the historical value of it. And went there and did an amazing fashion shoot, or not, amazing test shoot for my book. And then went with the photographer and his girlfriend. We drove up to the mountains just because they hadn't been to their family house in a long time. And I said, yeah, sure, let's do this. So we went up there, and it was this beautiful villa, and it was in the mountains, and there was a cloud and a cow. That's how high we were. It was a crazy thing I'd ever seen. And I stayed up there, with them, and they were really cool and very gracious. And the next day we came down, and I went back to Milan, back to the apartment with Khalil. And on Monday, Val stopped booking me. He stopped pushing me because he tested the waters. I wasn't what he was looking for. So that was my career in Italy. I did a couple things, showroom and, a few other things. But that was it. Yeah, that was Milan. And it was crazy. I went to a Versace after party while we were there. And saw all the supermodels and stuff. I was like, wow, what is this? It was crazy. And one of the things I realized that it was a really, really questionable, to keep it proper, industry, where there was 15-year-old girls from Idaho in a club in Italy till 3 a.m. I'm like, what? Or later. I'm like, what is this? No, this is madness. This is not, And one of the funniest things that ever happened was Boy George was the guest DJ at this party, right? At the after party for Versace. And he was a little drunk at the end. So we walk out, and he's hitting on one of the guys from our agency. And Khalil goes, oh my God, you're Boy George. And Boy George turned and was rude to him. And he called him an expletive, a racial expletive, because he's Arabic. He said something, derogatory. And Khalil almost knocked out Boy George. I went, oh boy, what's going on right now? And I could tell his feelings were hurt, and I could see his fist balling. I'm like, let's go. And I'll never forget that. I'm like, Khalil almost knocked out Boy George, who we used to watch on MTV in the 80s, And it was just crazy. It was a crazy time. And I had a lot of other experiences like that, where I met some cool people. I met some very shallow people. My resolve and my morality was tested, and I was like, no, I'm not. That's not who I am. And I even shaved my head at one point to quit modeling, and then met a booker from Germany and ended up flying to Germany and Hamburg and doing catalog stuff for a while. And it was interesting. But the point was, I never believed my own hype. I still didn't. I didn't know what I was doing there. I felt like an imposter. I never believed the hype. And I guess maybe my career would have been, there's a small percentage of guys especially that do really well in that industry, but it was a great experience. I got to see, several countries and see the ins and outs of it. And it was cool because last year I was at the Antiques, I think it's called the Antique and Artisan Market here in Stanford. They have great antiques and great treasures in there. And I was in there with my daughters, and Joseph Aboud was in there. And I did a Joseph Aboud show at the Plaza Hotel. And I go, girls, come here. And I just went up to him and I introduced myself. And I go, you don't know me, but I did a fashion show for you a long time ago. And he's like, wow, it's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was cool that the girls could see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, there's always positive. There's always, positive things that come from everything. So yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting life.
It's just so funny because when you say these things, it's like, what were you feeling during this whole time? Because I know you still didn't like yourself.
It was self-loathing, man. I put on a good face. To fit in, but that was something I carried with me from growing up poor and trying to fit in as a kid. I was a good actor. I put on a good face just so I could fit in and stay under the radar. I wasn't excelling or anything, but if someone looked really closely, they would say, why is that guy drinking a little more than everybody else? Why is he staying up a little later than everybody else?
Drinking, it started because of the modeling, right?
No, the drinking started in high school, and then it carried through the Marines. But the Marines are excessive. That's what we do. We train hard, we party hard, we stay up all night drinking and smoking cigarettes and have to go on a run the next day. It was crazy. But we were also in an environment where you could die in a training accident, or my war was Desert Storm. Thankfully, I didn't have to go through the whole Afghanistan thing. But things were also very uncertain because you still go through the emotions. I think it was 53 days at Desert Storm from start to finish where we got done. But you still go through those very human and humbling things where you question, are you going to make it out of here? You know, I remember having the reality in my head as we were about to, you know, to we're on a rotation and we're shipping in. We're following the battalion in front of us so we can go and be in support of the war. And I remember thinking at some point, Chris, this is real. At some point, you're going to be looking down your rifle, your sights of your rifle, and at the other end of it is going to be a young Iraqi boy looking down the sights of his. The difference is you have an M16A2. He has an AK-47. He probably has a girlfriend or someone he loves. He wants a future. He probably loves his mother. And you better squeeze your fucking trigger first. Because that's the difference between getting out of there or not. I didn't want to kill anybody. I just wanted to be a tough guy. You know, I just wanted to prove myself. I wanted to be tested. But here you are, and you better squeeze your trigger first. I had a dream where I was, it was like being in a line at a slaughterhouse. I was back, and you would hear this noise. Did I tell you? Did we talk about this?
We did. You said it in the podcast.
Yeah, we did. And that's a very real thing as you're waiting for your turn, you know? So these are things you go through that test you as a man, as a person. And, but it all makes sense because you learn from life and you become more effective. You don't learn from a book and become as effective. And so I can relate with a lot of people on a lot of levels, you know? So I think that's the key to me being effective in reaching people. I get it. I understand what it feels like. I understand the emotions. I understand loss and loneliness and depression and self-loathing and, you know, so I get it. There's no, that's where the alpha male goes out the window. You know, when you're not afraid of anything, you don't stick your chest out and have to, you know, be a tough guy. You can actually just exhale and let it go and then really connect with people, you know.
I remember when I told you, I guess my dream, I don't know where the conversation was like, I think it's time for you to put the armor down. And I don't know what maybe, I don't know if you said that or why I said that. I was like that's like, I feel like you built.
Say that again.
Like you.
Say that again. Say that again so people can hear what you just said.
Put the armor down. You need to put the armor down.
There are times we need to put the armor up and there are times we need to put the armor down. And sometimes, like you just said, we need to be reminded of that because that's when the beauty happens. As you get into this journey with meditation, something that I found is very magical and it comes from breathing. The magic happens in breath work, in breathing and meditation in between breaths. Because that's when we're the most aware. That's when we realize the most things, the most important and impactful things. We can't walk around all day long with the armor down because we're not receiving the gifts that we are supposed to receive, right? It would be ridiculous for us not to protect ourselves because it's a crazy world, right? Where people are at different stages of evolution. But that's where physical fitness and martial arts training comes in. Like, be that warrior so that you can be soft. You know what I mean? And that's for men and women. Mm-hmm. It's for men and women. Because you cannot operate in this world if you're afraid. You cannot operate if your armor's always up. And for you to have this, did you say it was in a dream where this came to you?
No, this was in our conversation.
This was in our conversation?
Yeah. But yeah. I wasn't even like, it's so funny because in my dream, that's not what my thought was. Like, oh, you need to have your armor down. I thought, maybe you should meditate. Maybe your future is to meditate and help people heal.
Yeah.
But I think you said it. Like, I think I need to put my armor down.
Yeah.
But I also think, when I think about you and other people, and when I think about you and me, you're very soft. Like, not like you're a pussy. You know what I mean? But like, that's like, I think I bring that out of you.
Well, again, that comes back to, as men, a lot of times we walk around with our armor up. All the time in every situation. And what that does, it repels women. It makes women feel uncomfortable. It makes other people think differently than what we really are. And so, and just that phrase of putting your armor down, you have to be strong enough to put your armor down. And that's also when fear subsides. So you have to be powerful. I did a daily check-in on my LinkedIn, I think, and it talks about, you cannot truly be kind, be loving, be faithful, be loyal, be attentive, be nurturing, unless you're powerful. Because if you're living in fear, then your commitments will wane. And it's true, because you are worried about what other people are thinking, about what their impact could be on you, if they have power over you, all these things. So you're not really free. So that's where true strength and vulnerability is a buzzword, is a buzz phrase right now. Rarely do you see people really going in on that. It's a great thing to say. It's a very trendy thing to say. But you have to be very strong to live that way. You have to be. That's why I don't use catchphrases. So many people, we've talked about this, when people are healing or when they're learning, they don't give themselves time to learn. They want to feel included. So what they do is they start dropping all these phrases that they know, and their healing's interrupted. You have to just be. But the balance in life, because there are people out there who do not know themselves or loathe themselves enough that they wish you harm. That's just the reality. And if you're not prepared for that, you're going to be blindsided and you're never going to be able to live freely. So men and women, you have to become powerful. You have to, or you're not living freely. And that's when you're powerful, then you're really free to be soft. You know what I'm saying? You're free to hold it. It's like holding a baby. The humility that comes with that. Oh my God. This is kind of crazy because, my ex-wife has a new baby, and she's remarried, and I love that little thing. I just love its innocence. I love its newness, its potential. I love that my daughters are so full of love that they're big sisters. I love the whole thing. I actually held the little one the last time I dropped off the girls, and it might have been weird for people, but I was just like, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful little human, this little creature. And a lot of men might not let their egos go and be affected by how things went down like it did in my situation. But I'm just like, the guy who's involved, I was very familiar with him, and he's actually a good dude. He's a really good dude. And I could be going through a situation where the person who was chosen to spend the most amount of time with my kids was a bad guy. He was an alcoholic, or he was violent or something like that. And that'd be a much worse situation. This guy's a good dude, so why don't we all live in harmony? Why don't we live in peace? And that's the softness. I'm not beating my chest going, something was done to me. That's stupid. That's a waste, man. And it goes back to seeing the goodness in people. Things happen for a reason. They're happy. I'm happy. The girls are happy. They don't have to be affected by this. And yes, be soft. Oof. Be soft and give yourself that gift, man. Give yourself that gift. You can't walk around leading with your ego like you want revenge or you want to, prove something all the time. Look at the gift that life just gave you. You're happy. Amazing. So you can be powerful and soft. I don't have to ever prove anything to anybody. People see who I am. And that's not an ego-driven statement. People are aware because you see through people's bullshit. That guy's sticking his chest out being loud, it's because he's insecure. It's not because he's a tough guy, it's because he's lost, he's in pain, he's hurting. And people, boisterous women even, people being loud, you're afraid. You're afraid to be with yourself. And it's part of it. The spiritual journey you're about to take is so exciting for me to watch, because all of the good stuff that's happened for me has been through my spiritual journey. In shutting down, getting to know yourself. You shared that you didn't say it this way, but you're kind of afraid of the potential to get off track while you're out there. And I told you, we have free will. It's up to you. Do you want to grow, Or do you want to be the same? Do you want to just be going through the same pattern, only at a different location?
It's so funny because when you said it to me, I was like, I need the wake up call. Because you're really good at that.
Well, because I don't sugarcoat. I'm like, it's up to you. It's up to us.
But you do it so much out of love.
Yes.
Like, I think I tell you things honestly about this is who I was or what I do or what I could be. And you're like very much like, even when you saw the bruise on my arm, you're like, dude, what? Like, you could have just not got drunk. And you wouldn't have a fucking bruise.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't know I was forcing down alcohol and you chose to do it. But that's why like when you said that, I was like, oh shit, like it's so easy, like there is a path. You can't be spiritual and doing drugs afterwards. Like it doesn't
be
make
a walking
sense.
Contradiction.
Exactly. You can't just like meditate and then put on TikTok you're meditating and then after.
So many people do.
Yeah.
So many people do.
Just for the clout that you're getting because now you're on a spiritual journey that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's why I'm saying our connection is such a blessing because no one else is going to tell me that. Like, it'll be us. Like, a lot of friends are like, oh my God, this is such a great time for you to party, to meditate, go on the dating app, do all the stupid shit. For what?
You're perpetuating a pattern that already doesn't work.
None of it works.
It doesn't work. Here's the thing, and this was just a thing that dawned on me the other day. Life is weird right now because we are rewarded for being inauthentic. We're not rewarded for being authentic. We're rewarded on social media for using the same music on our reels that everyone else does, for doing the same trends. I woke up in a Bugatti, right? I'm like,
do it with your kids. That'd be cute.
I'm not going to because I'm just like, what? But you know what I'm saying? It's like, so there's a contradiction. There's a social media life and then there's a real life. And a lot of people it's very trendy to be spiritual, and to be healing and blah, blah, blah. And in the background, they're staying up all night doing drugs and drinking. And then they're going to the beach and going, and you're not doing any service to yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice. I will never be a walking contradiction or I'll shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Because I won't be inauthentic because I love myself and I owe it to myself. Again, why would you waste an opportunity doing the same old things that don't feel good and don't get you anywhere? Well, you wouldn't if you are acting out of a place where you love yourself, out of a place of love. So you really have nothing to worry about because you come to a crossroads and so many things, you have a decision to make. You go at left or right. And you know which one's right. Which one's correct, rather. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I take what you say very, like, I think about it a lot. Like,
good. No, good, because I've been through all this stuff. I'm not just saying it,
No, but, like, I'll come out of our conversation and be like, what the fuck just happened? Like, even when we went, like, got coffee and you, like, shared about your whole story. And I was like, wow. Because, first of all, people don't, like, you're such a great speaker. People don't talk like you. Like, you're very much.
It's because I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not afraid. And I want to connect. I don't want to hurry up and get through this. Oh, my God. We're afraid because we've been conditioned to be afraid. We're not realizing that everyone out there is so happy that they're not the ones up on stage because they're afraid too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna be effective and share your message, fucking connect. It's an opportunity. It's like, man, I have to work out, or man, I get to work out. Man, I have to do a keynote speech. Does that sound even right? No, I get to do a keynote speech in front of people where my entire goal is what they get from this, not what I get from this. What an opportunity I have right now. I might have shared this. I can't remember. The root word for inspiration is inspiritus, right? And that means to breathe into. When I go in front of people, this is what I'm thinking. When I look for inspiration, this is what I'm thinking. Can I breathe something into them so that they leave with something? It's not about me. And I'm looking for inspiration. Can I look for something that breathes into me? It's not about fear. Fear is irrational. It's so irrational. Yet we're conditioned because everyone's afraid. Imagine a world where we weren't afraid, And that's that childlike thing I talk about. If we can all come to terms with that and just look in the mirror and be like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. What am I afraid of? Whose judgment am I worried about? It's irrational. It's irrational. You're wasting the gift. You're wasting the gift.
I know you're writing. You're doing so many things.
Yeah.
You're writing a memoir that I do want to talk to you about, and then the men's event. When did you start what made you want to write the memoir, or?
I wanted to write it for my girls so that they knew their dad. I thought what a great gift it would be to put it all out there so they could see who their dad really was. But it ended up being a gift for me because there were lots of little hidden places and closets and cupboards that I hadn't visited since I'd been there. There were lots of people that I haven't visited. And with every chapter, because now I'm 54, it's a long time to be here. With every chapter, if somebody in that chapter is no longer here, I pay homage to them, And it's beautiful. It's not tragic. It's beautiful to be able to have experienced these things and these people. And something that in the back of my mind felt like it was negative. When you go back and revisit them, these places and these times, these incidents, you realize that they are not that bad. They're not that bad. And the time doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't have any hold on you. So you can look at it and go, wow, that was pretty cool. It's pretty cool that I got to go through that I survived that I became stronger from that. So yeah, the idea for the memoir is called Surviving Life, and I was going to do it audibly. I may still. I'm writing it all out, and then I may do an audible podcast, just me speaking, narrating it, so it's available, so it's accessible, But it's fun. It's cool. Visiting all these people that, again, some of them aren't here anymore, but they're very vivid in my mind. It's a gift for me to revisit that, Yeah. So, and I'm writing a book on finding your power. More of a I don't want to say, it's not a self-help. It's a action, take action type of book. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a take action kind of book based on the presentation that I've given a couple times to men's groups about finding your power with 5 principles. And I have the My 2 Cents book, which is, I didn't realize this at the time, as I was being inspired with all of these observations and epiphanies. I collected them all. I wrote them down. A lot of times in the morning I would say them, but I wrote them all down, and I was like, wait a second, I have enough for a book. And so I realized I had like 160 original ideas for a book, and I called it the series My 2 Cents. The reason I called it My 2 Cents, which I didn't even know at the time, was you can not share the same opinion as me, but you can't argue with me because I'm just saying it's my 2 cents. You don't have to agree with it. You know what I mean? You can either be inspired by it or you can walk away from it. I'm not saying this is the Bible or this is the only way. This is just what I've picked up along the way. So I'm working on a lot of stuff. So many things that I sometimes forget what I'm working on. What do I do now? You got to change hats. This is the hat where I'm going to write this keynote. This is a hat where I'm going to write the book, and
And then you have your event. That's called Finding Your Power, right?
Finding Your Power. Yeah, Finding Your Power. And one of the beautiful things that came from the last presentation and some of the talks that I've had, the conversations I've had in front of people, they say find a niche and stick with your niche. And so I thought it was men's mental health until I did a talk about how strong women were. And I had women coming out going, Chris, when are you speaking again? Because I want to be there. And so then I wrote an empowerment one for women, and I was just and it was liberating for me because I could really just open up and say, wow, this is how I feel about the power of women. And it doesn't have to be something that's, just an isolated event for women. It can be my perspective. And again, it can be accepted or not. But you can hear a perspective from a man about how he feels about women, And there's so much impact that can be made, and people really are at different levels of searching and figuring things out. So if I can have an opportunity to reach them, then, I'm going to.
Can I give my opinion?
Yes.
I think you're good. Like, I could see you in more of a woman, like, events.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why when you said men's event, I was like, oh, I can see it.
Several women said, "Oh, it's a men's event."
No, I really. I'll tell you why. I think you're gonna. The future is like a woman for you because, first of all, I think it'd be very healing for you. Mm-hmm. I think you're still. I don't know. You could. Maybe I'm wrong about this. But I still think you're very much like. I don't know if it's because of your past with women. You're still kind of like you kind of take yourself away from it.
From what?
From women, just like in general.
No,
wait, hold on, let me finish. Hold on, let me finish. Not in like a dating standpoint, because we can talk about that too. But just like men, you want to like men's group, men mental health. Hold on. I'm like very much like the alpha man. I like your speaker and all this, but I think you touch women's because it's very healing for myself. I will say, seeing a good guy. We don't see that often. We don't, right? We don't see that often. And I think I've always known you were a good guy, but I didn't know at the extent of how good you are. Like, you're a very good person, very caring, very thoughtful, and I think that rewires my brain so much because I'm like, oh, there's a good person. It exists. So there must be others out there.
And, well, for me, that's just normal. For me, it's normal. Because it's who I am.
But who you are is not normal to like society, right? Like what I've learned is not you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Which is why I think even when I think of you, it's like healing women. Like I don't think it is just men.
But I'm paying devil's advocate. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. However, you can't just focus on women if men are not showing up the way I show up. If I can show the example, and then again, it's this dance, it's this symphony between strength and vulnerability. Because I will come in front of these men powerfully and take them on a ride where I expose myself. I become weak. I become sad. I appreciate things that men are supposed to talk about. So what I'm doing is showing men another way, right? That's why I think it's impactful for women, because women also need to be reminded of how much worth they have. Oh, so much worth, right? Because if you're out there settling because you're not finding this man who is nurturing, who's caring, but also men are getting mixed signals because you're so used to settling that when a man does show up and he's maybe not as aggressive or something like that, now he's being called weak. There's all this confusion going on, right? And if men and women can bridge the gap and actually communicate, and men can be allowed to be weak and say, I'm struggling, I don't know what I'm doing, rather than sticking her chest out and going, yo, and women can immediately walk away from something that is less than what they're worth. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going, well, I'll see this through just because I'm not doing anything else. If both sexes can do this, then maybe we can bridge the gap and come together. So that's what it has me a little confused, because I think it's impactful for both. I see women from a very respectful vein, no matter what I've gone through. There's been situations in my life where someone was very deceitful, and I knew it, and I realized that. And instead of going, man, fuck you, I said, thank you for spending this time with me, and I only wish you the best, because what they were doing was exactly what they knew how at the time. And that's it. You know what I mean? So both men and women can learn from this. We get away from all this nonsense that's required from us, from society. So I don't know. I mean, I understand your point as well, and I want to do both. I have a very powerful keynote that I've written on empowering on empowering women, and it talks about going back to your youth, your childhood, what mattered then. And I think we should all shed all this stuff, all this materialistic stuff that keeps us in chains. Get back to, just the grassroots of being a human. What do we desire? What do we need? What do we need from the other person? And respecting each other. All this nonsense. There you go. Drop your armor again, Get rid of your armor. Start to communicate. Yes, men are physically stronger and they should be the protector. Yes, and they should be allowed to. But they should also be allowed to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I need some help, or I'm hurting right now and I'm not showing it because I'm afraid of being judged. And women do that. Even as trendy as it is to say right now, I think men need groups so they can talk about things. And then you turn around and go, no, you're being weak, and you cheat on them, or you screw them over. There needs to be work on both sides. There's a lot of rhetoric. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of talk, and there's not a lot of good examples because we're not healing all the way. We're jumping into something because it's trendy, and then we say, yes, I know about this, so now I'm the expert. Instead of going, no, wait a second, I'm still uncertain. So yes, I want to tell women how powerful they are. They have so much worth, so much power, so much grace, and they should be observed lovingly, from their partner. That's how it should be. And he should be able to do his best to do his role. And when he feels weak, he should be able to go to his woman and say, I feel weak. That's vulnerability. And you should be able to build him back up and be like, baby, you got this. And I got your back. Let's go. And when you're feeling low, it shouldn't be like, this is your fault. This is it, blah, 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 or deflecting or anything like that. It should be reciprocated. That is the dance. That's the dance. All the rest of it's nonsense. What are we worth? I wrote something. I want to see if I can remember it. Men, I can't remember what it was. It was pretty powerful too, and now I'm stumped. It was something about men know your worth and choose your relationships accordingly. I can't remember. It was powerful. Actually, let me look this up. Let me look this up real quick. Because it made a lot of sense, and it just came to me. But it sums up. Let me see if I can find it. This is from the My Two Cents. Here it is. Men, require more from yourselves. Women, require more for yourselves. Now switch. Relationships sorted. My 2 cents. Men require more from yourselves. Women require more for yourselves. Now switch. Relationships sorted. Simple. Stop playing games.
How would you go into a relationship now?
Open-minded still. Open-minded, knowing my worth. And when I see that someone is not at the same place as me, it's much easier for me to gracefully walk away. I'm not interested, nor is it my duty to try to fix someone, to share with them. At this point in my life, I want someone to meet me where I'm at. Not saying that if somebody wasn't eager to grow, that you can't help each other grow, like if you're not at the same place. But there has to be a mutual respect right off the bat, That's the biggest thing, is respect. Respecting each other. Not putting your shit on the other person. Knowing that you have shit, but not putting it on the other person, Because we all do. We all have baggage. We all have stuff. And we just, again, it goes back to we decide. We decide we give power to, So I would enter into a situation as excited as I was the first time I was ever in a relationship, but also aware that you can't force something to be, So it's easy to walk away. It's easy to walk away gracefully, not negatively, So that's it's as simple as that, honestly.
I could talk to you for all day.
I know, I could too. Do you
have anything else to share?
I do. Because I always do these things and then I don't talk about what I actually do.
I know.
So I have a very powerful coaching program. And it's for high functioning, check. It's for high functioning men and women. And it's called, I just forgot what it's called. I just went completely blank. The 4 alignments. I just went completely blank. My coaching program is called the 4 alignments. And it's based on things I've collected and things that have worked for me over the years. The first alignment is origin. And this is your relationship with your ancestors, the relationship with yourself, and with a higher power. The second one is power. The second alignment is power. When we feel strong, when we feel healthy, when we feel like we're firing on all cylinders and our mind is clear, we're getting enough hydration, we're eating clean, we're getting enough rest, we feel powerful, then and we're firing on 8 out of a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale, we're living optimally. The next one, I mentioned this before, is lineage. If we are communicating, we have a good relationship with our immediate family, the family we grew up in, and our friends, our close friends, then we are firing on an 8 out of 10, and we're living optimally. The last one is legacy. We're not down here flailing around. We're creating something that lasts because each one of us should be thinking, I'm here, and I want people to know that I was here. You're creating a legacy. You're creating something that is going to last for your family, something you can be proud of, they can be proud of. And I have organized it into a 12-month program or an accelerated 12-week program. It's the 4 alignments. The first one is origin. The second one is power. The third one is lineage. And the fourth one is legacy. And I go through it with people, and it's powerful. It's very powerful. I have a friend I want to mention also, Jason Barron. Do you know Jason Barron? We talk a lot about ChatGPT, and Jason came to me one time. He goes, I'm doing something, and I want you to be involved. He said, I'm going to make you your own personal ChatGPT, one that you speak to as if you are speaking to yourself. You can pull from the knowledge that you've collected. And mine is called Phoenix. And what I did with him, I sat and I told him my entire story, all the good, all the bad, all the details. There's no good and bad, it's all details. And what he did is we created a ChatGPT that I access now. Whenever I write something, whenever I have an idea, it's like speaking to myself. There was a little hidden thing in there where I type in for my girls, and it's me reminding myself when things get low or things, I feel low, reminding myself who I am as if I'm having a conversation with my girls. It's powerful. And he does this, and he has a business, and he will do it for people. And I don't want to mess up his website, but he's a very powerful guy, and it's a very powerful thing. As we know, AI and ChatGPT are taking over, and it's helping us with a lot of things. His website is gallivantier.com. Jason Barron, his website's gallivantier.com. You should check this out because it'd be really cool to speak with Pratt. And it helps me to create some really powerful things in my voice because it knows my voice. So that's another big thing. Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible. Have you created for your daughters too, their own?
What's that?
Have you created?
Not yet, but I told you about what we did. We created a character that takes us through history, and whenever they have questions, they can ask it. And we had a really powerful, very powerful scenario the other day. But it's I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about the future for you. I'm excited about the future for me. I'm excited about it for both of us together, what we will create, the lives will impact. And I encourage anybody who's listening to this also, if you have questions, if you have any questions about the stuff we talk about, if you have any questions about us,
DM him.
DM me. DM me. Yeah. And anything we've talked about, anything that I've brought up, discussed, anything that people are struggling with, I am accessible. I want to help. So yeah, please DM me. Rush Fitness NYC is my Instagram. Chris Michael Rushing is my LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm going to be putting out a few things over the next few years and getting in front of people.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited for you.
I'm so freaking excited. I'm so excited we did this.
I am too.
And I know in a couple months when I come back and visit you, it's going to be, it's so funny because I think you're going to take over the world. I've said this to you multiple times that you're just going to heal the whole entire world.
That's my dream. That's my dream. I told you to be mic'd up on a stage, man, in front of a sea of people going, isn't life great? Isn't life great? At different, and everyone there being at different stages of searching, man. And it's okay. That's what life is. That's what life is. That's the impermanence of life. Things change. Things can only be good if there's also bad, because otherwise we won't appreciate them as much. We're not victims of this, man. We've been chosen. Think about that. We've been chosen to experience this life. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Check us out till next time. It'll probably be like in part 3, 4, 5. So
right? Hopefully
you'll
it's
see
the
Chris
ongoing.
rushing a lot on the Unchill podcast.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Till next time. I'm just going to leave this on because you're probably going to say more stuff.
I'm not.
You're done?
No, I think I wanted to share that crazy experience with the kid from Gettysburg, because that blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. What a crazy gift. Like I'm gonna keep him alive as well by writing his story. And I had this crazy idea that if there is some type of connection that I have, and I can visit people who were here, not a voodoo type of way, but to give people a gift, I feel like the next person that I want to reach out to is a slave who died in the South, who was not allowed to see their life all the way through. I feel like I told you about that time when we went to that plantation with Tiger Lily, and they told us about the slaves that couldn't. I think it's better to say enslaved these days, and that makes a lot more sense. A lot of times they change terminology. I'm like, you're just being too cautious. But this enslaved, they weren't slaved. They were humans who were enslaved. There's a guy, the tour guide at this plantation in Charleston, was talking about how the people who were there, if they were too young to work in the fields in the heat, they would make the brick and mortar for the structures. And he pointed out a tiny fingerprint. And Tiger Lily was there, and I said, Tiger Lily, hold your hand up to that. And I took a picture of it. And it was impactful, and she sat with it for a minute. We all did. Lulu might have been playing in the mud or something. Her and I did. And it was just heavy. It was heavy. I feel like we're connected. We're just lineage of our ancestors and people that were here before us. And I feel like we're connected to people. We're connected to souls. We're all part of this big reality that is life, this big dream. And I really want to try to connect with, it may be crazy, maybe, crazy talk, but I would really love to try to connect with people who, like Jude at Gettysburg, who died that day and became not a name anymore, but a number within a group of number of casualties. They say casualties because they couldn't list everybody who perished that day senselessly because of men's greed and nonsense, egos. So I want to really try to see, for some reason, I've had really powerful meditations where I go in and I see things and I connect with things. I thought it must be my crazy imagination, but it's deeper than that. And so I think the next thing, I want to try to access a connection with a kid or a person or somebody. The reason Jude allowed me to embody him in that moment was because there's so many people that go through Gettysburg, and they may take a moment of silence and to take in the impact of what happened there. But again, because I'm not afraid of people judging me or thinking I'm a wackadoodle, I told you I took my yoga mat out of the back of I almost left. I'm like, well, this is tragic. This sucks. And I let it wash over me. And I looked at all the gardens of stone, the cemeteries. And I'm like, wow, this is horrible. Something stopped me. As I was pulling out, I came back around. And I said, no, I'm not done here yet. I'm not wasting this opportunity. I'm going to tell the story because because we might as well record it. And it was an overcast day, and it was wet. It was a little bit rainy, and it was still in winter. It was November, I believe, because this is when I was on my way to meet you guys at the speaker school at Bedford Springs. And I went out, and I had my headphones on, and I put transcendental meditation sounds, and I sat in this battlefield, facing what would have been the northern position. And it was haunted, man. It was haunted and tragic. And this is when I looked to my left and I saw this circle of light, like a cylinder, going from the battlefield to the sky, and souls of the dead just going up to the sky. And my eyes filled with tears, and I just sat there looking at it. And while still meditating, I got up and I started to walk towards where the firing line for the north would be. And I realized that I was in this kid's body. I was him. I could see from his perspective. And my boots were barely tied and my pants were baggy and uncomfortable. And my rifle was too heavy for me to carry. It didn't matter because I didn't have any rounds left anyways. My powder was wet. There was nothing I could have done. And I knew what was coming. And in that moment, oh man, I could taste the ham that Mom would cook on Sunday mornings that we would eat for lunch. I could feel what it felt like to jump in that spring where I would swim after our work was done. I remember how proud I felt when I told everybody that I was going to go fight for our cause, not knowing really what I was getting into, but it felt so good because everyone was so proud of me as they cheered me on. I wish I hadn't made that decision because I'd give anything to be back there right now than right here. And I'm going to stay a little bit behind this guy, this kid who's just a few years older than me. I'm going to stay a little bit behind him because when I see the puffs of smoke, that means the rounds are coming. And if he gets hit first, then maybe I'll have an extra second, an extra breath, an extra thought, an extra something because I'm 13. I shouldn't be here for the greed of men. I should be back there falling in love, planning a life, eating Mom's ham, swimming in the creek. And then came the smoke, and then the sound. And by the time the sound came, it was already too late because I'm falling towards the ground. The ground is getting closer to me. And I'm begging for one last thought. I'm begging for one last breath. I'm begging for one last memory. And then it's black. And what I didn't know at the time was that if I would have looked at my left wrist, there was a green string tied around it that Juna May gave to me the day I left. And what she told me was, don't you dare get killed. You come back to me. And I became a number mixed in with a bunch of casualties, and I didn't have a name.
until I found this guy who was willing to sit there on the field and listen and feel. And now I have an opportunity to have my story told. And my name is Jude, and my story is just beginning.